the misty mountains cold.
Is this that Hobbit shit?
Hello, and welcome to That Hobbit Shit. I'm Corey.
And I'm Mike.
Hey there, Mike.
Hi.
We did it. We're finally here. What is today's episode?
Today is the episode. Sorry, today is the Rings of Power episode 7 and 8 summary spectacular featuring that Hobbit shit.
Yes, and we couldn't be more excited.
Speak for yourself. Since we skipped episode 7 for Canadian Thanksgiving, we're gonna go back and forth with summaries. I'll do 7, Corey will do 8, and then we'll discuss both together.
Yes, because we've seen the whole series, Mike, or season, I guess.
Yeah. Some wish it was the whole series, but not I.
Well, shall we make a quick pit stop at the Green Dragon and then get into it?
Yes, let's.
Okay.
But the only food for the brave and true comes from the Green Dragon.
And welcome to the Green Dragon Inn. So this is the segment of the show where we discuss the beers that we have selected for the episode Spectacular. Mike, what are you drinking today?
Corey, I have a mango pineapple milkshake IPA from Russell Brewing Company.
No, you don't.
I do.
Were you saving this one, Mike?
I was. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let me give it another little.
I don't doubt that it's good, but I would be skeptical right up until the moment of tasting it, personally.
It's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, wow, that's a complicated little beer. You really taste the pineapple at first, but the mango's in there too. You know what I mean? It's in for the mix.
It's there.
And what are we looking at here? Only 15 IBUs. It contains gluten for all you gluten fans.
I personally love gluten.
I'm a big fan, but I don't have issues processing it. I like this beer a lot. I'm upset I only bought one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I assume it has some sort of lactose in it as well.
Is it just smooth as hell?
It's smooth, yeah. Heavy amounts of pineapple and mango puree, mosaic citrus, and lactose, of course. I called it. That's what makes it a milkshake.
Oh, Mike, that won't be the first thing that you rightfully predicted this episode.
6% alcohol, so it's a decent amount.
Okay, not messing around.
So what are you drinking?
Oh, buddy, have I ever been saving this one? I was so excited when I found this out that I went very, very out of my way to go to this brewery. I selected this beer right around the time that I stopped enjoying this season, and so I am drinking Haterade. I've been so excited about this. I'm expecting it to be absolutely awful. It is sorry, just finishing pouring it. Jesus Christ, what a fucked up color. Like it's blue. It is the color of Powerade, and it is called a blue power drink sour.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 6.5 alcohol by volume. It's got blue power drink powder in it, and here we go. Bottoms up. I don't know where to start with this, actually.
Is it really good?
It's not bad, actually. It's better than I expected, but it tastes enough like the power drink that I also expected. Wow, actually I'm conflicted.
Hey, that summarizes this show.
Yeah, this is so perfect. I'm so conflicted. I can't even talk about it. I need time to think about it. So why don't we go to the first summary?
Sure. All right.
Oh, sorry, it's from the Rorschach Brewery. How do you say that? How do you say it, Mike?
I don't know.
I feel like I had something from them the other day when we were recording, and I feel like you pronounced it properly. Rorschach? Rorschach?
Rorschach?
Rorschach? Is that it?
Like the character from Watchmen, that guy.
Yes. Yeah, or like the ink blots,
Yeah, or that, but I think it's Rorschach.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that does sound right. And I know that you said it the other day and it sounded right. And I
Oh.
can't seem to I can't seem to make that come out of my mouth.
I have watched The Watchmen a few times.
Oh, okay, perfect. Excellent.
My favorite comic book movie.
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah. So speaking of bad taste, I enjoyed these episodes. I'll go right into episode 7 here, Corey.
Thank you.
Galadriel wakes up in the muck and the mire and freaks out at the aftermath of Mount Doom erupting. Lots of people got skywalkered.
Oh my god, that took me a second, but that is a really good one.
Numenorians go on a rescue spree, and somebody is trapped under a house. Perhaps Isildur?
Think so?
Yeah. The hobbits find some Mount Doom leavings, and their people tell a legend of evil coming with the eruption. Nori is now scared of not Gandalf, and not Gandalf can't seem to do anything right. He tries to heal a tree and nearly crushes Nori and her sister. Elrond works up the nerve to ask for Mithril, and King Durin says no, but he's a coward and makes his son Durin break the news. Back at Mount Doom, Galadriel's blaming herself, and a little boy is helping her realize it maybe wasn't her fault.
Classic.
Yeah, and also, Corey, as it turns out, the Queen was blinded by Mount Doom erupting.
Yes.
Did you call that?
Me? No.
No, nobody saw that coming.
No. Oh
No.
my god.
I didn't mean to do that.
Oh really? I thought that was your whole
No.
your whole setup there.
The group of hobbits who never leave anyone behind send the not Gandalf wizard packing after he knocked over a tree. Back to Galadriel, we find out that Celeborn is dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, whatever. And back in the mine, Durin decides to mine for Mithril solo while Elrond watches and drinks all their water. After Durin finally finds or has some water, he finds a shitload of Mithril.
Load spelled LODE.
Yeah, shitload. The King Durin bursts in and kicks Elrond out right away. The Durins have a big fight, and Durin takes Durin's fancy necklace away. You know, it took until episode 7 for me to realize both of their names were Durin.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it before. Anyway, Corey, it turns out that not Gandalf did fix that tree, and the entire forest around it that was burned by Mount Doom.
Pretty neat.
So those hobbits are feeling pretty guilty about kicking him out. Not only that, though, the Sauron perverts are on his trail. And they burn down the hobbits' whole little caravan, and it's all Nori's fault. Bronwyn and Arondir survived the Mount Doom eruption. Did you know?
Yes.
Yeah,
I watched it.
Real cliffhanger that Isildur did not.
Fuck.
Numenor is leaving Middle Earth, but they're coming back for revenge. They swear it. The hobbits chase after the stranger that they kicked out. Oh yeah, and Halbrand survived too, but he got fucked up pretty bad.
Ooh.
And the wound has turned. So he naturally takes off galloping with Galadriel on a several-day ride to the king, the heart of Elvendom on Earth, so he can be healed.
He'll sure need to be healed after that ride.
Yeah, it's gonna mix up his insides that are exposed. King Durin wakes up the Balrog during a tantrum, and we get the most awkward naming of Mordor scene possible.
Oh, I just barely remember that.
Oh, the orcs are asking Adar, what shall we call our land? And he doesn't say, he just like looks off in the distance, and then the old name of the area is written across the sky, and then it says Mordor.
Oh yeah.
I have a note about this.
You should. Thank you for having a note about it.
Corey, on to episode 8.
Yeah, on to episode 8. Well, if you remember where we left off, we open the finale on a filthy hobo in the forest. Yes, it's the stranger, and he's looking filthier than ever. And he drops his apple, and it's stolen by those three pale weirdos. Later, I will call them Sauron perverts. We have a lot of different names for them. But unfortunately, we now dash one of my theories. It seems that none of the pale weirdos are Sauron, but people hoping to serve Sauron. And the idiots think that Gandalf is Sauron. But
they're sure of it.
Yeah, they're very sure of it. But it's not their fault because they are blinded by their Sauron perversity. So next, we cut to mostly dead Halbrand and Galadriel arriving in Lindon. And I amended this later because apparently it is not Lindon. It is the city built around Celebrimbor's forge, I think, or where he built it has been very unclear to me this whole season. But somehow, wherever it is, Galadriel knew about it and knew to bring Halbrand there for treatment. I'm assuming it was not Lindon because Gil-galad was not there, but I don't think that really matters in the long run.
It must have been just outside of Lindon, right?
Yeah, oh, it must have been. Oh, for sure.
Somewhere between Lindon and what's the dwarvish city?
Khazad-dûm. Yeah, just the perfect place. So anyhow, as Celebrimbor and Elrond are discussing their failure of smithing Mithril into anything useful, so as Celebrimbor and Elrond are discussing their failure of smithing the tiny bit of Mithril into anything useful, Celebrimbor, in a very loud stage whisper, says, "Wait, what if we made this tiny bit of metal into something small, like rings?" And so they decide to do that. Anyway, so the elves tend Halbrand elf medicine style. And at this point in the show, there's still time for Mike's theory to come true. And about 30 seconds later, their theory is correct. I think we'll come back to this in notes, but I just wanted explicitly known that you, Mike, called that Halbrand is Sauron.
Yeah.
And from this point on in the show, Halbrand has dropped all pretense and is creeping around everywhere, clearly being Sauron the Deceiver.
He's deceiving up and down.
Yeah. Like he's just relishing that deceiving. just covered in deceiving, like a deceiver in shit. Back in Numenor, Iarion is given a once in a long Numenorian lifetime opportunity to draw the king completely unsupervised. And it is very likely that at some point she looked in the Palantir.
Probably.
Probably, most likely. Back to the Dirty Woods, the Sauron witches, which is how I'll now refer to them, tell Gandalf that the stars that he is looking for are in a place called Rune, and that if he goes there, he will learn shit. Gandalf uses some magic, but the witches don't like it, and they put him to sleep. And then the hobbits show up to rescue him. The witches pull the old switcheroo and trick the hobbits, and there's a fight scene, I guess. And Sadok gets a knife to the liver. But don't worry, Mike. Harfeet can survive both stabbings and broken ankles, because even with a mortal wound, a few minutes later, Sadok stabs a witch in the foot. And then there is some hobbit throwing marksmanship on display. The young lady witch has an old man wizard fight with Gandalf, just like Saruman and Gandalf's fight in the Fellowship. But Nori manages to get the witch's staff to Gandalf, and he banishes the witches to their ghost moth forms, and they are apparently the ring wraiths, but they don't have the rings yet. More on that in notes. And then, sadly, Sadok decides that he has to die now, which he does. So, meanwhile, Elendil and the Queen return to Numenor, only to find that the king has died. The harbor being hung with black flags, as Farazan earlier mentioned would happen, which is a very good thing. He told us about it. Back to Galadriel. She has been looking into the lineage of the Southlands and discovers that Halbrand isn't actually anyone because the line of the last king died out 1,000 years ago. Halbrand finally reveals that he is Sauron, and quite frankly, in my opinion, has retroactively become one of the most interesting characters in the season. But it's only retroactively. And then he pulls like a kind of like Kaiser Sose, you made everything up yourself deceiver spell on Galadriel. And then she passes out from their astral plane battle. And she's woken by Elrond. Sauron has fled without a trace, and Celebrimbor is now ready to make 2 rings. Galadriel turns to look straight in the camera, and she quotes the title of the 3rd chapter of the Fellowship, saying, 3 is company. And so they make 3 rings for the Elven Kings under the sky, Mike.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many times people just look straight into the camera in this episode.
It happened a few times, didn't it?
Back to the hobbits. Gandalf has a personality now, and he must go to Rune. And it turns out that Nori is going to go too. So the first adventure, apparently, because driving your house around Middle Earth annually is too boring for Harfoot. Frodo says goodbye to Sam, who is now the leader of the hobbits, and Frodo and Gandalf set off into the sunrise because they're going east, Mike, not west. And see what I did there with Frodo and Sam?
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry. It's all very neat and tidy at this point, isn't it?
Mostly.
Well, yeah, and so meanwhile, Celebrimbor is casting the rings, and Elrond, who is a lore master, Mike, don't you know, looks at the scroll about the Southlands, and he also now realizes that Halbrand is Sauron. But Celebrimbor can't be brought down today because the rings are finished, and Halbrand / Sauron, with some cool new clothes and some cool new knowledge of unseen things, has arrived back at the borders of Mordor. Welcome home to the King of the Southlands. And then a song plays, which will feature very prominently in my notes. And then we're at the end of the episode.
Dripping with anger.
I'm drinking something called Haterade. I'm not hiding it anymore.
Okay. Notes, Corey. Notes.
Okay. Okay, Mike, I'll start it off because this note doesn't really go anywhere. I made this note at the 14-minute mark of episode 8. And then I made it again at the 30-minute mark of episode 8. Why is so much happening in this episode?
I kind of feel like, yeah, the pacing of this whole season was all over the place, and they really could have done with a little bit of work in the editing room, I guess. I don't know. This episode 8 should have been like 2 episodes, maybe 3.
Yeah, this episode was crazy.
Yeah, I feel like they probably had to hit story beats every episode, and that's why. And for some reason, TV shows need to be 8 to 10 episodes, no more, no less.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with what you said about like, yeah, this episode probably should have been spaced out a little bit more because there were episodes like the one where Mount Doom erupted at the end, which I think was 6, and then, or maybe that was 5. I don't know. I've lost track a little bit, but like some of them just really dragged out and like not much actually happened.
Yeah, especially towards the beginning. Like I feel like episode like 3 and 4 were really bad for that.
Yeah, and then there's this one where you're like, oh my god, I don't even have my seatbelt on yet, and you've already like made a U-turn or something. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm just looking over my notes. Some of my episode 7 notes are more like nitpicks.
Oh, okay.
The hobbits are kind of assholes, eh? That one applies to both.
I have a note that surprisingly Gandalf is not an asshole yet.
Yeah.
Because he like let the hobbits like, well, A, push him around, and B, like say their like goodbyes to Nori, and he just like politely stood by.
Yeah, I feel like future Gandalf would have ruined that whole goodbye.
But yeah, the hobbits are mildly hypocritical. I agree with you. Like leave, they chant like leave no one behind. We should leave them behind and take their wheels. Like what the
Yeah.
fuck?
As soon as someone's maimed.
Yeah.
Oh, a slight injury. Maybe we should eat them.
Yeah, I'm surprised that never came up actually.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a small nitpick about episode 7. I am immediately reminded of oh, okay. Oh, this actually answers my earlier thing of so it is the end of episode 6 where everything erupts. And that's episode 7 where they're dealing with it because my note here is do we need to remind anyone about about Pompeii and Herculaneum? Because everyone died. Every
Yeah.
single one of them.
Yeah, I guess they're far enough away from Mount Doom that there were a lot of survivors.
Sure.
Yeah, but then a lot of people were singed pretty badly. I found it strange that everyone seemed to start out in the same place, but they got separated terribly.
Yeah, they really, really did.
It didn't make any sense to me. Like, what they should have done is add like an orc attack after the eruption, and then it would have been like in the chaos, everyone gets scattered, you know?
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
Or have something happen. I don't know.
Yeah, because they were all in a tiny little village and then couldn't find
Yeah.
each other after.
Maybe the bridge gets destroyed and people are all stuck on either side of the river. I don't know. Anything.
Yep. Yeah, there are a few little nitpicks. I actually had a note that Galadriel mentions Celeborn, but you covered that.
Yeah, how he died.
Yeah, I assume he didn't though. I guess like we'll probably meet him later.
He can't have.
Well, yeah, I guess not. I'm not...
Well,
I
the
mean,
only way he could have is if he's sent back from the afterlife, which I mean, why would he be sent back?
yeah, you have to be cool as shit to be
Yeah.
sent back. You have to die in battle with a Balrog too.
Yeah.
Actually, I think specifically that, only that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a theory I have. This is my last note on episode 7 because all my other notes kind of got covered by episode 8.
Okay.
The reveal of the name of Mordor.
Yeah.
I think that originally that was probably storyboarded to show an image of the map or a video of the actual map and having the title of that area destroyed and Mordor showing up. You know what I mean? Rather than just having it like over top of live action footage, which made no sense.
No, it's a bit of an inconsistency in the way that they do their own show, like because there were the points where they showed the map in the very early episodes. Like I don't think they've done that in a while.
Yeah, and they were really cool. Like I feel like
yeah, it was nice.
I feel like someone had a plan for it. Someone had planned for it to be that way, and then as probably a studio executive was like, no, people don't want to see maps.
They want explosions.
Yeah, and then some poor son of a bitch was probably busy, like forced to remove the map from editing and then just put the text over the video, and they hated every moment of
it. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good theory. You're bang on with your theories, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, I can get this over with real quick, but two small last notes about episode 7 is the old man Sauron pervert that's still following Adar. He's the only human in a land of orcs with no sunlight. I'm curious why he's still following Adar.
It's sunk cost fallacy. He's in too deep now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I guess he can't really get away.
It's just like fuck. Maybe it'll get better. Wonder if he's going to become somebody of note.
Well, I don't know. This is bleeding into some episode 8 notes of like, so the 3 Sauron witches, they are the ring wraiths? Question mark?
Yeah, I didn't really notice that, but I was taking notes for my summary too.
Well, when Gandalf I don't think really destroys them. Sort of like sends them away. They turn white and ghostly, and one of them is wearing a crown, and they look exactly like the vision that Frodo has when he wears the ring in the Fellowship.
Interesting. I should rewatch that. Wow, why would they do that? I guess because Halbrand was going to be the Witch King and they changed it. Um, yeah, I don't
Well,
know. That's kind of weird.
well, yeah, because I don't see how they could be, unkillable wraiths if they don't have the rings yet, because it was the rings that, etc. I don't know. I guess I'm getting into to lore correctness now, which we
I
promised
don't
we
know.
wouldn't do,
But Sauron's got a lot of stuff to do in the next 4 seasons, so maybe he finds them and resurrects them or does something to their dead bodies. I don't know.
oh yeah,
Gathers all the moths up.
yeah, yeah. I would imagine there's quite a bit more with them.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Halbrand slash Sauron, I agree with you. They really made him like one of the more compelling characters very well and very
Yeah,
quickly. I
yeah.
hated him up until episode 8.
Oh, he was so boring. He was such like an archetype of like mid-level fantasy, like
Yeah. Yeah. There was like, it's like suddenly he's interesting. I just wish that I wish it was paced better and he had a little more time creeping around the elves.
yeah, if he had been doing a little bit more deceiving all through the season,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be kind of cool.
I guess it's implied that he's there for a few weeks. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. Well, and yeah, and I guess he was creeping around Numenor, but they did not show any of it, so that yeah, I don't know if you hadn't given your theory that he is Sauron, I never would have guessed, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So I think they did a fairly good job of hiding it, but maybe too good of a job.
Yeah.
Like you
Uh,
put together some really good pieces there.
I think he's going back to Numenor at some point. I think he's going to get the One Ring, and then Numenor is going to take him down and take him captive.
Yeah, and then he's supposed to pervert Numenor for 1,000
Yeah,
years or whatever.
he
Yeah.
tricks them into into attacking Valinor,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
Elendil and Isildur flee, and they establish um, Gondor.
I was thinking this was more before I saw episode 8, and now I'm doubtful that this will actually happen. I was thinking that season 2 has like got to be set like 10 years later. Like there's got to be some like big
Oh,
time jump, but
yeah,
based on the last episode and based on like how short of a time this season seems to have taken place within, I kind of doubt that that'll be the case,
yeah,
but it would really help if it was like 5 years later.
yeah, yeah. Numenor is coming back in force, and Sauron's taken over. Adar sniveling at some hole.
Or they're just
Um,
still high-fiving about their little deception.
yeah. Um, did you notice when they dropped the mithril into the smelter, it turned into the one eye?
No, actually, no, I didn't notice that.
Oh, it was a pretty cool scene. You know how it was like a kind of like oblong chunk of mithril?
Yeah.
And really dropped into the circular molten metal, and then it became like the one eye.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, Corey, you just got to follow your nose.
See, stuff like that. uh,
That pissed me off.
yeah, yeah, it pissed me off too. And also that he instantly had a personality after he touched that staff. He was just like, "Oh, now I'm Gandalf."
Yeah, well, it was the Sauron perverts who were lifting his veil.
Yeah, yeah, right. Of course, the veil.
They
Yeah.
reminded him of who he was, and it wasn't who they thought he was. I have a note that just says, "What the fuck, Galadriel?"
Referring to what? Like what specifically?
Her poor choices throughout. Um, I think the worst thing about this show is their treatment of her and how she's been made this like bumbling fool in a lot of ways, like cocksure to a fault.
I agree. She had kind of the exact opposite and I don't, this was not on purpose. I defy anyone to convince me this is on purpose. She had the exact opposite arc of Halbrand. Like at the beginning, it was like, oh wow, Galadriel's interesting, but like by the end of this, you're just like, Jesus Christ. And then like Halbrand, when you first meet him, you're like, oh, this motherfucker. We all know this character, but now Halbrand's really interesting, and Galadriel's like it's like you're still here, you're still like this after all these things.
Yeah. I'm really hung up on the fact that she's like thousands of years old.
Yep.
And she has a lot of growth to do.
I was almost starting to wonder with this episode, like if because Sauron touched on I'll make you a queen. As soon as she puts the ring on, if she's just like a really placid smile goes across her face, and she says, "I'm going to start Lothlorien," like like some like kind of really bad plot patch like that,
Right.
you know?
Huh. Yeah, like what the hell happens to her where she is no longer a warrior? And I don't know.
Yeah, and ready to like punch everybody in the face. Also, it wasn't really a great decision to be like, oh shit, that was Sauron. Oh wait, we should make these rings anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
and we'll make a third one because that gives it balance.
yeah, it's like so you're just gonna go ahead with the thing that the most evil guy around told you to do.
Yeah, well, they were kind of stuck because the elves would have to leave Middle Earth, and then there would be no one to fight Sauron. So it was a little bit of like a double-edged sword either way.
Darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
and I guess her, it's probably her just being overconfident. I guess her flawed
Yeah.
character where, well, I'll outmaneuver this person who's outmaneuvered me for an entire season of my show and make a third ring.
Yeah, if I wear one of the rings, everything will be fine.
Yeah. Corey, there are 17 other rings to be made.
You're not wrong, Mike. Okay. Speaking of rings, do you have more to say on that?
No, I'm just interested in how that's going to happen.
Well, okay, so Sauron went back to Mordor, where obviously evil lives and will live. And I couldn't help but think, like, because he's supposed to give the other rings to the other races as gifts, but it's a trick. And then when he puts on the one ring, they're all supposed to be like, oh, fuck, we were screwed.
Except for the elves because they made 3.
Yeah, exactly. It's the numbers game, man. Yeah, I don't really know how he's gonna pull that off. And I got thinking about this, Mike, because you know how Amazon got the rights to a portion of Tolkien's intellectual property, but there's some things from the Silmarillion that they did not get the rights to. I wonder if the name Anatar was one of them.
Oh.
Because that was supposed to be Sauron's name when he was pretending to be like an emissary of heaven.
Oh, right. So it just
So you
makes
had
it all murky. Do they have the right to Gandalf? I don't know. Because they've been playing pretty fast and loose with who that wizard is.
Holy shit! Yeah, you're right. I wonder. Oh, that's a good point too. Huh.
Yeah, I think there's probably going to be a reason the dwarves need his help. So him being Sauron. Maybe having to do with waking the Balrog up.
Maybe, yeah.
Or then they're deceived, and then men are weak. So he probably goes to the land of Rune and gets a bunch of those perverts on his side, and they're probably resurrect those other perverts.
Yeah,
really
I guess
industrious perverts.
Yeah, I don't know. There are so many nitpicks, but we should likely not bother with the nitpicks because it's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, it was very flawed, but I liked it in general, I guess.
I managed to, from like last night to today, I had all day to think about it. I summed up my feelings on the season, and I will share them with you, Mike. I liked the beginning. I did not like the middle. I am okay with the end.
Yeah, that's basically it. It really meandered through the middle of the season, didn't it?
Yeah.
And it feels like there was a lot of needless shit that happened just to like give other characters things to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I read something from I don't know, someone involved in the show who was saying season 1 was difficult because they couldn't reveal who Sauron was, and he's like the main character.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of a silly excuse, but it's interesting to think of it like that. Like they had to dance around it until now, and now they can actually focus on the main character of the series.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that is an interesting way to go about it. And I mean, in this last episode, they were kind of rubbing our noses in it.
Yeah, and we do get like a little taste of like his perspective, which doesn't seem to be wholly just like I want to destroy everything.
I know, yeah. Yeah, that's what made him so interesting. You're like, do I want to try to maybe think about believing him or like and also when he sort of convinces Galadriel that like she sort of filled in a lot of the blanks with him, and he just sort of kind of went along with it.
Yeah, which is what he does.
Yeah.
The great
Yeah.
deceiver. Didn't turn into a werewolf yet.
Not fucking yet.
Or a vampire.
Actually, speaking of which, I finally started watching What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh boy.
And like your casting in our fan cast is so good. It's so fantastic. But it was kind of funny to compare that like comedy show to this like perhaps the most expensive TV show ever, where like What We Do in the Shadows delivers every single episode. Every single one is good.
How far are you in?
We finished the first season.
Oh boy.
It was great.
The second season has a really great Laszlo episode.
Greater than where he reveals his vulva garden.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Him as Bill the Pony. It's just perfect.
I can already picture it. Yeah. But sorry, Vampire put me on that little tangent there.
What else is there to discuss? Are you excited for the next season?
Oh, I was not prepared for this question. I didn't think in a million years you'd ask me that, Mike. Oh my God, am I on the spot? Not really.
Yeah, I'll watch it. We will watch it. We'll discuss it.
Yep, we will.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I texted you this week and said the show is ponderous.
Yes, I'm glad that came up because that was a very good description.
But up until episode 8, that was true, and then episode 8 was just like fast forward.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So hopefully they figure out their pacing issues now that they don't have to hide their main character.
Yeah, now that they don't have to throw the red herring after red herring after red herring at us.
Yeah, yeah, Gandalf can go off, learning about being a wizard, and Sauron could go off learning how to be a Dark Lord, and Gandalf could learn how to be a proper elf. Sorry, did I say Galadriel?
Oh, Galadriel, yeah.
Galadriel can learn how to be a proper elf.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I honestly can't say that I'm excited though.
It's a ways off.
Yeah, that's true, and it's good. We were also discussing, I think, after you sent that ponderous one, how nice it will be to get back to the books.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, what a relief that'll be. I think I do have a couple more notes.
Sure. I have one more question, but I'll save it for the last.
Okay. I really wanted to, speaking of the last, I really wanted to talk about the song that played at the end credits.
Yes.
The song at the end was like something out of The Simpsons. It was like the fucking Planet of the Apes musical. Like, oh my God, I was wrong.
Yeah, I turned it off.
Like, I know it's Tolkien's words. It's the poem. It's the fantastic poem that always goes with Lord of the Rings, but that song was awful.
Yeah, I don't know why it was so upbeat.
Just singing lines from a book doesn't really work.
Yeah, and especially when it's like the legend of basically the end of the world.
Yeah, no one's going around. Yeah, And as you pointed out, 17 of the things they're talking about in that song don't exist yet.
No, they might happen between seasons, maybe.
Yeah, whatever, that's fine. I'd be okay. No, actually, no, I wouldn't be okay with that. Thank you. I wanted to get that off my chest. Let's see. Opinion of the season. I think we should do a supercut, Mike. Because this was 8 fucking hours. I think we should do a supercut of some of the plot lines. Like just to cut out all that middle shit. Like, for example, Celebrimbor says he wants to create something like Fëanor. Hard cut to the 3 rings on the table, and then his smug smile. And there you go. 10 seconds.
Yeah, and he is creating destruction by it.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like, with Nori, you can say a clip of her saying, "I'm just a Harfoot," and then cut to her saying, "You are who you choose to be," and that's it. That's her story. Like, there's just a lot that we could, a lot of fat that we could trim.
Halbrand saying, "I'm sorry for your brother," and then cut to him being Sauron, who had murdered Galadriel's brother.
And the dagger melting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the dagger.
I laughed a little at that because, like, oh, we need gold and silver from Valinor. That's the only thing that we have.
It's so silly how many things they added like that were just unnecessary.
Yeah, totally. But the weird thing about that though is that it was so unnecessary, but somehow that was like the one thing almost the entire season that kind of moved Galadriel's character forward.
She had to give up. Oh yeah, maybe that is going to be a turning point for her. She's given up that dagger she's dragged around.
Yeah, I feel like it's the only turning point for her.
Hopefully she can think about what she's done.
Yeah, I don't know. I had some complaints about like plot conveniences and whatnot, but I don't have to get into that. Mike, what was your last question?
My last question for you is, would you ever go snailing?
It depends who my snailing company is.
Oh, fair.
I wouldn't go snailing with just anyone.
Because we did get that excellent song in episode 7 about snailing.
Like, don't shit in the stream because you never know when you need a drink.
Was that some advice? That was some advice, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was some advice.
From the dwarves? No, but dwarves wouldn't care.
Dwarves shit wherever they want.
Yeah, I think that's well established.
Yep. No, that was Nori's father, one of his Bungo Baggins-esque.
Oh yeah, I wonder if
saying.
he ends up being Bongo's great grandfather.
Yeah. What are what's this is probably a pointless question. What is Nori's last name?
I don't know.
Are they like Proudfoots or Buckle? I don't know. Whatever.
Nori Strawberries? Tell me that's not name. Brandyfoot.
Brandyfoot. Oh yeah, okay. And the Bagginses are descended from the Brandy Bucks, are they not? Or is it the Tooks? Or maybe they're all.
I don't know. They're probably all intermingled.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I predict a Nori plotline?
Please.
I think she's going to help Gandalf, and then Gandalf is going to find the Shire, and she's going to bring all of her other Hobbit friends there to settle.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a pretty good.
That's going to be the stupid thing that happens.
Well,
and we'll call it the Shire.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be stupid shit like that because he already did the "follow your nose" quote, and it's like, I feel like it's so insulting to an audience when, like, in a prequel, which is already mildly insulting, when they like completely call back to something that happens in the one that you've already seen. It's like we've already seen it. We know about it. Why are you?
I'm fine with it being an occasional thing, but something like if follow your nose was the only callback they made for Gandalf, that would be fine. But like every episode, he was doing something that he had done in the movies.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And before he said "follow your nose," they already had like the weird very odd wizard fight, which
Yeah.
was which was very much like the odd wizard fight that Gandalf and Saruman have, which was fine in the Fellowship. In the Fellowship, you were like, "Whoa, this is like strange," but then I don't know how wizards fight. Like, so it's cool. It's like I don't know. I'd probably be dead if I was spinning like a top like that.
Yeah. Or Homer Simpson.
We need more Simpsons references in the Rings of Power.
Uh, it
I
probably lines up really well with like season 20.
actually, the Simpsons probably predicted this series.
Oh
Says,
God.
haven't they predicted everything at this point?
Sorry, I shouldn't have yawned.
Interesting side note. So we're in the post Game of Thrones world right now, Mike, in terms of fantasy television shows, and there is even a contemporary Game of Thrones show out right now. In the entire season of the Rings of Power, not one character had sex with anyone.
Yeah.
That is not a complaint. It is
Okay, good. Okay.
no, yeah, like for real, like that is strictly an observation. It's just I think it's fascinating. That does not happen very often in pretty much anything.
I'm glad that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see hobbits banging. That's who it would have been.
When this cart's a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know, just a thought. Because I mean, like the Lord of the Rings movies affected all fantasy that came after. That I'm kind of surprised that like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think this is a good spot to end it.
Was it? No, I I was trying so hard not to be pervy about this.
I know. It's an interesting point. Like it's a pivot, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, and an interesting road to take. Like considering the parlance of our times, if you will. Just the way that other TV shows go. It's interesting that this show chose that, and generally speaking, wasn't that violent. It's violent points where like some of them were pretty brutal when they happened, but they were fairly few and far between.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, look at something like The Witcher would be another example of a current fantasy show that is extremely violent and extremely sexual. Like yeah, it's interesting they took this route. Yeah, just an observation.
Uh, a little restraint,
Yeah.
if you will. Yeah. Sorry, putting a yawn again here. Yeah. I think it's probably good for the best.
Yeah.
I would have been pretty angry if we did get that elf orgy we were worried about.
How many seasons did you say?
We've got 4 more.
there's lots of deceiving and perverting to do. Yeah, okay. So yeah, you want, shall we wrap it up, Mike?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay. Would you are you excited for season 2? Did I ask you that?
Oh, no, I'm mildly excited. I will watch it. I don't know, I'm curious. I'm curious what they do with Gandalf Solo Travels. Sauron's interesting now.
Yep.
I think they have one more season to hook me, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, even if the next season isn't that great, we probably will still watch it.
Yeah.
Which is the great trap. Maybe that's the great deception. Yeah. There's there's more dwarven shit to be had.
Yeah. Okay, I guess the last thought is like where we left certain characters. Like the dwarves are just they've got that Balrog awake. Who knows what's happening there?
Is he just sitting there? Like, is he just literally sitting there?
I think he was shitting and they knocked on his door and opened it up and he's mad. What's her pickle is looking into the Palantir that drove the king crazy.
Yes. That will probably lead to quite a few things. I imagine she probably saw Isildur and was like, he's alive.
Oh yeah, because he is apparently dead, as the queen has taunted Elendil about.
Yeah, just rubbing it in.
She was rubbing it in.
Yep.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen there? That's interesting. Um, who else was left hanging? We don't know what's going on with the people from the Southlands. Like they got a king and he turned out to be the most evil person ever. So
Yeah, they mentioned in passing that they were sending all of those people to an old Numenorian outpost or something
oh,
like
a
that.
colony, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Yeah. I think Gandalf's story will probably be the most interesting, like going into like sincerely parts unknown. Um Places we've not seen in the Tolkien mythology.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Is that everyone? It's everyone, right? I
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Farazan was looking lustily at that vacant throne, I thought.
Oh yeah, at some point he forces himself on the queen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Gross.
Yeah, that happens. And then yeah, that's all I know about.
Yeah, I guess that maybe everything will fall apart from different angles.
You mean in Middle Earth or the show?
I mean both, and thank you for listening. So thank you for listening to our special episodes about the Rings of Power and the wonderfully insightful things that we thought about it. And join us very, very soon for a return to the Fellowship of the Ring, because we still have a couple chapters left that we need to discuss, and we are dying to discuss them.
Yeah, something good for once.
Yes, something. Fuck. Yeah. So look forward to that. That'll be real soon. And thank you to our supporters on the Patreon page. You can find us on that is patreon.com/thathobbitshit. You can find us on Instagram at thathobbitshit. You can find us on Twitter at hobbitshit. Email us thathobbitshit@gmail.com. I'm Corey.
And I'm Mike.
And may
And may
the
the
hair
hair on
on
your
your
toes
toes
never fall
never
out.
fall out.